Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm glad you could be here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about dating apps today. People are constantly saying to me, the dating apps are so overwhelming. And it's not just older people. The other is the other extreme, which are people telling me that the dating apps are so underwhelming. Both of those true at the same time? For sure. That's what's on the agenda. First of all, let's start with overwhelming, because we all experienced that perhaps when we first joined the dating sites or dating apps. We had this illusion that there was an endless supply of matches available to us. And certainly for people who are not technically savvy, it can seem a little overwhelming in that way too. I often work with people and have to literally walk them through the steps of not only creating their profile, which I love to do. It's a service I offer called dating profile optimization. And then I think the problem comes in where that illusion of choice disappears and it becomes a little underwhelming when you realize that there's not always more where that came from. And also, if you're on multiple apps, you may notice that there's some of the same faces you're going to see over and over again, which makes that pool seem even smaller. And then, of course, the underwhelming and overwhelming come together when you are experiencing some type of a dating app or dating site burnout. So I have some tips for you here, 7 to be exact, to help you avoid the dating apps being either underwhelming or overwhelming. So 7 of them, let's do that. If you're experiencing apathy or indifference, and even when you make a match, there's no joy to that. There is no excitement. You may or may not even communicate with this person. That's a problem, right? Because why are we even on there if we're not connecting with anybody? And when matches are procured, we're not even taking advantage of that. If this is your situation, here are a couple things you could try. Number 1, I encourage you to only use 1 or 2 dating apps maximum at the same time. Otherwise, overwhelming. And more than that, underwhelming. Both of those things happen because you'd see a lot of the same people if you're on a lot of them. A lot of people are on 2, for sure. But also being on more than 1 or 2 just starts taking up a little bit too much of your time. And that will help you to experience burnout more quickly. Just that amount of swiping time and reading messages and reading profiles if you're going to be the first person reaching out, it can get to be too much. So I'd say limit your apps to 1 or 2. Number 2, be more intentional with the amount of time you invest into your dating apps. Make sure that it works for your lifestyle, that you're not feeling pressured to be on the apps, or that maybe you'll be pressured if you're only spending 1 night a week checking in on the apps, but it's for a decent amount of time. So I can't be the one to tell you if it's better for you to experience this and check in 3 evenings a week or mornings, whatever your time of day is. Or if for you, the great thing, if you're making so many connections and you have so many options available to you that you want to reach out and make thoughtful comments on their profile, that it could be 2 hours once a week if you're just doing this on Sunday nights. But one of the tips I've been passing around for a long time, people say just because your phone rings doesn't mean you have to answer it right now. Since we've had answering machines and voicemail, same thing for the dating apps. Just because you have a message or a match notification doesn't mean you have to drop everything and pay attention to that. So be intentional with the amount of time you want to invest into this so that it's convenient for you and not taking you from other things that are either priorities to you or enjoyable to you, more enjoyable to you than perhaps the dating apps. I'm saying set boundaries for yourself that you can adhere to, and that will make you less likely to experience burnout and have the dating apps feel either under or overwhelming. And I mentioned already to be intentional about this, but also in the way you reach out to people. Don't just do the hey or how's it going or what's up. You will get better, stronger responses and connections if you are more thoughtful in your first message or your first response. If from the photos or that first message, say if you go look at the profile and this seems like somebody right off the bat without having to read everything that might be a possibility of somebody you're interested in, make sure you grab something from their profile to make a comment about, especially if you're the first person reaching out. A great profile, and gosh, I hope you have one. If not, please check out my website. But if you have a great profile, there should be many opportunities for somebody to pick up on something you said or left open-ended, or a photo that has something interesting going on in it that you can question or make a funny comment about. So be intentional, be thoughtful, and make it personal. Number 4, whether this person is a deal breaker for you, you're seeing deal breakers, red flags, or it looks like a good prospect, stop texting ASAP. As soon as feasibly possible, stop the communication of back and forth messages and wait to have a conversation when you actually meet in person. I just feel that doing the pen pal thing with somebody up until the date can sway people in the wrong way. I think you could misconstrue something they say, which can be a turnoff, and it's based on you not knowing them or knowing the tone of what they're saying or not knowing their humor. So I think once you've determined that you're going to meet this person, stop communication until you see them in person. Same thing with sending pictures. Don't send pictures between the time that you've connected and made plans and the time you meet this person. Same thing can happen. It's a bad practice, and I've seen it way too many times. Just follow my rule. You can ruin things before they've even begun. And then a quick reminder here, because I think it's appropriate, don't forget that meeting them, that's happening within a week. You're not looking for a pen pal, you're not looking for a text buddy, you're not looking for a scammer, so you're moving on. Meet them or delete them within a week. This next one is not necessarily about the apps themselves or the dating site in particular, but it's about meeting these people that you've met there in person. And that is, know yourself. If you are a person who gets bored easily, don't take all your Bumble dates to the same coffee place on the same evening of the week. Know that you're going to lose interest, burn out, feel like you're on this Groundhog Day of dates, and make sure you change it up, perhaps even by being intentional and thoughtful and consulting with this other person or gleaning something from their profile that you think they would enjoy based on what they've already shared with you. Mindless swiping is a waste of your time. You're not putting the mental or emotional energy into that. So if you reach that point where you're just swiping and half paying attention, give yourself a forced hiatus. Just walk away, take a break, whether that's, hey, you know what, I need 2 weeks away from this where I'm just going to meet people or focus on trying to meet people in person, or I'm not going to be dating at all for the summer month of July. Whatever that looks like, or December is always an easy one to take a dating hiatus. But pay attention to how engaged you truly are, because if you're half-assing it, what's really the point? Is that going to be your next romantic relationship if you're not even invested at the very beginning? Know your limits and know when to walk away. And finally, that even applies to any session that you are having, reading or scrolling, swiping through, looking at people's profiles. If you feel that you can't concentrate and figure out who is a good match for you, at least on paper, know when to shut it down and call it a day, watch some TV, or go to bed early, because it's not in your own best interest. I appreciate you being here today. Oh, that's my mom. She thinks it would be great if you give the episode a thumbs up if you liked it. And I would appreciate you subscribing to the channel. And if you hit the ring bell, then we can hang out again sometime soon, because you'll know every time a new episode goes live. I appreciate you being here today, and I'll look forward to next time. Until then, have a good one.